So today we're going to talk a little bit about romance, okay?
Alrighty.
And dating. So how old are you?
I am 28.
28. So what's it like to date in the era of a 28-year-old? Give me an example of a first date.
Me, it's hard to say really. It's sort of can go any which way. I've been meeting people. As an actor, I've been meeting people either doing shows or through other people. Not so much doing anything like blind dates necessarily. It's just more like people introduce me. Hey, you should meet this person or whatever, or meeting somebody out and about, and then just from there, just sitting around, talking, maybe grab a bite to eat. It's I will say it's become a little simpler, a little easier than it was back when I was younger. Obviously when you're younger, still figuring stuff out.
So what is it you've figured out about how to go about dating now versus when you were younger?
I don't know. I guess just more about keeping your cool about it, and being more realistic about any expectations, about how it's gonna go, about how the other person's gonna feel, about how you're gonna feel, once you actually start to get to know the person,
Okay. Give me an example as how you go about asking out a girl. You personally.
It's more at that point just about. It's become a little more casual, I'd say. It's more just as we're sitting hanging out, just say well, hey, would you want to just maybe catch a movie or grab a bite to eat or something sometime, and then just sort of develops organically from that. It hasn't been lately. It's just sort of been my experience that it hasn't been so much about asking do you want to go out on a date. It's more just starts as a casual encounter that becomes a date as it progresses.
Okay.
So.
All right. Can you give me an example of like how do some of your guy friends ask out women? So maybe something that you think is not so cool that people tend to do.
It's hard to say. I haven't really watched many of my friends asking each other out necessarily. Usually they're just doing that on their own time, and then we find out oh, they're seeing each other now. They're an item or whatever, and.
Okay.
I've heard some of the stories about how some of my friends have gotten together about as far as like a friend of mine who met this girl doing a show, and they just sort of went into it understanding hey, this is sort of a weird coupling here, but let's just talk, let's hang out a little bit and just see where it takes us. Sort of thing.
Okay.
So
when you say you ask someone out as an example, what is something that people your age are going on a first date doing? What is something you go and do?
For first date, it usually ends up being just going out, grabbing a bite to eat, sitting there chatting, then maybe from there take in a show, either a play or a movie, or if it's comfortable enough, for lack of a better word. I don't want to say relationship necessarily, but if it's a good enough vibe they're getting from each other, then maybe even just hang out at one of their places or another. The people I hang out with are all different ages. There are some younger guys in their early 20s. Some of them, my best friend is about to turn 39, I think. So
Mm-hmm. So tell me about his relationship at 39 years old. He's in your circle of friends.
Yeah. He's been with his girlfriend for almost 10 years now. They've been together almost since I've known them, and she's 10 years younger than him almost. I think 9 years difference, maybe 8. My numbers are off right
That's
now.
okay.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. An
But
approximate's fine.
yeah, and sometimes the extreme age difference doesn't always work, but it happens to really work for them. Their personalities are very in sync. And the few things they don't have in common, they're able to just roll with it. It just adds a little dynamic to things, and it's nothing that
Let's
is
talk
going to
about
break them
respect.
apart.
Is there a respect in their relationship?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, they respect each other. They help each other out in their careers, their fields, and everything like that. Very supportive. And now he's got a job where he's away a lot, and she's very understanding of that and very supportive.
Okay.
So they work very, very well together.
And they've been
similar
together 10
goals,
years and
similar.
are engaged, not engaged, talking marriage, not after 10 years of being together.
He's not really a firm believer of marriage. He's a believer in being with somebody and being with somebody that you love, He just he's one of those guys. The institution of marriage is something he doesn't really agree with.
So
mainly because of the religious aspects of it. He's not a religious guy. So
is the institution of marriage, the non-belief in that, is that something that's you're finding in your generation to be becoming somewhat of a social norm?
Sometimes, depending who you're asking, it's all a matter of how a person is and how they are in their current relationship and what they want out of it.
How do you feel about the institution of marriage?
I'm cool with marriage. I came this close to getting engaged twice. So the once with the 3-year relationship and once with the 1.5-year relationship. And then luckily things broke off before I bought the ring. So, but yeah. So it
wow.
it's a matter there of just we know what we wanted, and luckily in those relationships we've realized we found out that what we had wasn't what we wanted before we took that next step. So
when guys your age, 28, 29 years old, let's talk about being about romantic in a relationship. What's it like for you to be a guy at 29 years old, and how are you basically performing romance? What do you do? What does that mean to you, romance?
Romance, a lot of it's just a matter of just doing something to surprise them, or even just something they like, and they know they like. It doesn't even necessarily have to be a surprise at the time. Just knowing that you're doing something for them, even if it's something you're not a big fan of. Candlelit dinner, or going to some movie that you hate, or but something
So
they want, and it's something that they love and they're going to enjoy it, and that you're willing to do that for them. It's a matter of showing that you're willing to do things that aren't necessarily always in your normal comfort zone to to make somebody happy. It's within reason, obviously.
Have you ever had a conversation with a girl, whether it's girlfriend or not, or just a friend, about what romance means to a woman?
Not really too many talks about that. It's basically about like I said, just taking care of each other, and
that's something you might want to do. You might want to ask a girl, a friend, and have a conversation about what is romance to a woman, instead of guys trying to figure it out. Women have a very different point of view about romance and what romance means to them, and every woman is somewhat different.
Yeah.
So, but men have a tendency to think they know what that is and what their needs are, not that all don't. But as they're trying to figure it out, all they really need to do is ask, just to give you a little heads up on that. So it might help you out in the future when you're in a relationship to just plain old ask her, like, so what does romance mean to you anyway, as a general conversation? It'd be a good conversation to help you out in the long run.
But at the same time, sometimes, some girls are more realistic. They understand, it doesn't need to be, a space shuttle to the moon or something like that, that it can just be the little things that, make a relationship or a date night,
okay.
Beautiful.
All right, good. Great. Well, thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me.
All right.